Do you like testimonies of overcoming? Saved and Strong shares stories of people who have overcome struggles to find strength. Each episode inspires resilience, hope, and faith, reminding listeners they're not alone. Hi, I'm Carrie Watts here with Melissa Rodd on the Saved and Strong podcast. Melissa is an author friend of mine. We met through our publisher, Hope Books. She is a wife, a mom, and a honey to her grandsons. Her debut book, The Daddy Files, dives into her decades-long hunt for the truth about her father, complete with family secrets, DNA plot twist, and a mom who once claimed she had been switched at birth. With humor, grit, and a little Texas sass, Melissa shows how forgiveness and God's love can turn even a Lifetime movie mess into a story worth telling. Melissa, welcome.
Hi, Carrie. Thanks for having me.
So tell us about your book and how you became an author. Like, what drove you to write this story and share it with the world?
Well, when I was 45 and discovered that it wasn't the man I had always thought of as being my birth father, and I started sharing with just people around town that I would bump into, I was finding more and more people had similar stories, and they were always so thankful to know that they weren't the only one. And I was like, "Ooh, God, what do you want me to do with this?" And that's when I realized it wasn't just my story, it was everybody's story. And I was willing to share, and I was willing to open it up. So that's what started it.
Yeah. Well, you're a praying woman, obviously, and this podcast is called Saved and Strong. So tell us a little bit about your faith journey and when you came to know God.
I actually met him when I was about 12 years old. That's when I first started going to church and first was saved. I went from being Baptist to we started going to Teen Aglow and Women's Aglow, which introduced us to full gospel and Holy Spirit. So I was baptized in the Spirit, started speaking in tongues, which was a whole new world and wasn't perfect. I mean, I was a teen and I had daddy issues, obviously, since I didn't know my birth father even as a teen and I was searching. So I had a rocky time. So I would go through times of being close to God and then I'd be not so close to God. But yes, I prayed. But I don't know about you, but typically when people say they pray, I think about the God, do this and that for me. Amen. And go about your day. That's traditionally what people think of praying as, basically. For me, that's not praying. When I say I pray, I just talk to God. I chat with him off and on all day long. I'll see something like a rainbow or some clouds or a sunset. And it's like, oh God, that is beautiful. Thank you. And go about. Or when I see an ambulance or fire truck or the police and their lights and sirens are going, I'll pray for them as they're going. Pray for them and their safety as they drive to whatever their call is, and pray for whoever's on the other end of their call, that they get there in time to help them, that God is with them and whoever is impacted in their family. I just chat with God. I talk to him like he's you, like he's my friend and sitting on the other side of the couch. That's praying to me.
He is, I mean, the Bible says he's our friend, he's our father, and we can talk to him without ceasing. So, how
Yeah.
beautiful to be able to talk to him all day long, no matter where you are or what you're doing.
Don't get me wrong. I also complain to him. It's like I will dump and I will tell him how unfair something is or how I don't like something. So, I'm not perfect.
He can handle it.
Yeah,
He already
exactly.
knows anyway, right?
Exactly. And sometimes I hear him laugh at me for being silly.
Well, tell me more about your book.
I mean, 211 pages. It's like 14 chapters and an addendum and, It's short, it's easy read, it's fast, but you laugh, you cry.
What was your favorite part of the writing process?
Actually, I had a realization with writing it. Here I am, 56 years old. I'm writing about stuff that went on from the time I was born, actually, from stuff that happened before I was born to now. I talk about being engaged at 18 years old, right after high school, and that relationship and how I had met my birth father for the first time, talked to him on the phone. He pulled a disappearing act on me again. And then I had a blind date with this guy. Short relationship. We quickly got engaged. 2 weeks before the wedding, we broke up. He dumped me, went back to his ex. That was actually an answer to prayer because I knew I wasn't supposed to marry him. And I was praying for God to rescue me from what I had gotten myself into. I just, I could not bring myself to break it off. And so it was like, God, get me out of this. And he did. So the whole relationship started like the middle of June. And by the middle of August, we were done. That was when I was 18. Here I am in my 50s. And I suddenly realized I was on rebound. That was a rebound relationship from my birth father, or my fake birth father, actually. And because here I was looking for love because he had basically dropped me again. And I was wanting somebody to love me and say that I was worthy. And so I latched onto this young man. So that was actually my favorite part of writing this. Out of
Mm.
everything else that was going on, God showed me that.
Yeah. I feel like every time I share my story, I heal a little bit more, and it opens
Yeah.
the door for other people to heal because I have people come up to me after I speak and they're like, "Oh, that happened to me and I never told anybody." And so I'm
Yes.
like, and here you are telling a complete stranger. But there's
Mhm.
something about that common ground. I feel like as writers, we are in a process of healing from
Yeah.
whatever hurts that we've experienced. And so writing for me is like therapy. I think I would write every day even if I never published anything because honestly, I was
Mhm.
always a note taker and a
Me too.
journaler. I love to journal my prayers. And it just made me feel like, okay, I'm unloading this that I need to get off my chest. And I would feel God talking to me through those journals and through that writing, and because I've had a hard time focusing because of my childhood trauma, writing helped me to focus. And so I hear what you're saying as you wrote that, you realized something about yourself that maybe you wouldn't have realized otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So true. And I've been the same way because I've always taken notes and liked to write. So, yeah.
yeah. I feel like that I can write words that I can't find to speak.
Yeah. I always say that I am a better writer than I am a speaker.
And through writing, thank you, Jesus, I have found myself speaking more, I think because I have thought through my whole life. I've
Yeah.
I've journaled my whole life, and so through the process of writing it down, I think it has helped me bring clarity to what was seemed confusing for years,
Yeah. I
no
would
doubt.
agree with that.
So one thing that you told me about your book is at the end of each chapter, you have some questions or statements that help the reader
Mhm.
think through it. Tell us more about that.
I have since I wrote the book like a detective case file, since it was me searching for my birth father, I did field notes at the end of each chapter. And then I did evidence for healing, reflection questions, encouragement, writing prompts, and scriptures and prayers. And the reflection questions, it was to get them thinking and to get them to relate and maybe to help them process something that they were going through. Like this particular chapter that I opened to. Has the truth ever changed everything you thought you knew? How do you process denial, especially from someone close to you? And what helps you stay grounded when the story you've always been told no longer adds up? So and
Did someone
they,
give you advice to put those questions at the end of each chapter, or did you just thought of that on your own?
God, when I was writing it, when I first started writing, this is about the sixth version of my story. The first one was so dry, so bland, because I was trying so hard not to hurt my mom
Mm.
because I didn't want to hurt her. So each progression, I added a little bit more heart and hurt, not hurt, not to deliberately hurt her, but my hurt and my pain. And so that being said, and I was praying every time. It was like, God, what do you want? What is the purpose of this book? Because it's not just for me to dump and it's not just for me to spew out my hurt feelings and what I've gone through. There's got to be a purpose in it. What is your purpose? What do you want this book to accomplish? How do you want it to help people? And that's where it came from.
Would you consider it a memoir or a self-help book?
Actually, it's more of a self help. So, and that's actually what I was about to say. Patty Aubrey, when she had looked at it, she's one of the women, or she was involved with Chicken Soup for the Soul. And she and Jack Canfield had looked at it and she made the comment. She goes, it's really more of a self help. She goes, which is a good thing because memoirs are hard to sell, especially for a nobody, which I'm a nobody. And she goes, I don't say that to hurt you. And I said, you're not hurting me. I know I'm a nobody. And she said, they're hard to sell even for famous people, but especially for a nobody. She said, but a self help. Now that's a different story. No pun intended.
We talked a little bit about your ideal reader already. So who have you just really discovered as your ideal reader?
Actually, yeah, when I was writing it, I thought my ideal reader was a 30 to 50-year-old woman. But just this week, I realized no, my ideal reader is a college girl. So 18 to 22-year-old.
And why is that?
Because when you have daddy issues, because your dad's not around for whatever reason, you go searching for him in men or relationships, and you get yourself into situations that you wouldn't otherwise put yourself in by that searching. And by doing that, it's dangerous and not just for your physical, but your spiritual, your mental, your emotional, all of that. And God's there and he's our daddy and he wants us to come to him with those wants and those needs. And it took me way too long to realize that that's what I was doing. And so I'd like to help them realize it before they make all the mistakes I did.
Yeah. So it sounds like preventative medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanna catch them before they go down that wrong road and help them make that good detour. Yeah, that's so good. So, have you found a community of people that, like you said, that you can relate to who have been through what you've been through?
Yeah, I have a lot. And I've actually joined a couple of Facebook groups that it's crazy how big the groups are. I present to women because I'm a woman. And so I talk to women. They're the ones I relate to. But more and more often, just in passing, I'm meeting men that are like, oh, yeah, I can relate. I understand. It's like, oh, I hadn't thought about the men. Not really.
Our publisher tells us to find that one avatar or that one person. And so naturally, I think we as women visualize our reader as a woman. And so that's who we reach out to. That's who we want to go speak to.
Well, actually, my first podcast interview was with a man, and it was dad's talk. And he was dad and a grandfather, and it's 4 men. And what he does is he talks to men about how to be better fathers and grandfathers and how to step up, and that's what he wanted me to do, is talk to them about what it's like to grow up without the father and what kinds of abandonment issues I have and what kind of hole it leaves and why it's so important for the men to be there. And so I was like, "Okay, yeah."
Tell us what you have in the works. Do you have some book signings coming up, or how's your book launch going?
Book launch is going, okay, I guess. Um, I also have an interview with a local radio station, and,
It's exciting.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's definitely out of my realm of comfort.
When I think as a new author, at the book signings at the tables, it's more of an opportunity to tell people what you've written about, and I sell less books. What I have found in these small groups that I've been able to go talk to, they're invested in the book because they know the story behind it. And so the more that you can be vulnerable and raw and be yourself, like you say, that sassy Texan Southern girl, you will find that more people will buy your book after they hear your story. There's one thing that Brian Dixon says all the time is share, share, share. Share more than you think you need to share. And you're right. How many girls do we know that don't know their dad or and want to? And have been in those destructive relationships or cycles of addiction. They're filling that hole that only God can fill. I feel like that God has brought you this far to bring you more because what I have found is that the blessing comes in obedience. And so many things have happened as a result of me writing my book that I never could have seen. And so, yeah. So gear up, put your armor on, girl, because the doors are gonna open, I feel like.
Yeah, they already are, and I was thinking about this a little bit ago, how different my life is right now compared to 3 years ago. I would have never envisioned my life being what it is right now, and already seeing where it's headed.
Can you share some of those blessings that have come as a result of writing your book?
More confidence in me, and I'm more outgoing, which I wasn't, and more comfortable speaking to people. And talking about groups, my pastor asked me to lead a small group at church, and I start in 3 weeks. I have my first, and it's author group with Melissa. And so I will be talking to them about publishing. It's never would have imagined. And I actually had a producer reach out to me about my book too, film producer, one about possibly doing a show. So that's, yeah, interesting.
I mean, how many more lives will be impacted if it's recorded? That's exciting, Melissa.
I was like, "Okay, God, whatever you want, you you are in control of this and you take care of it." Because
Where can we find your book?
Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, and Walmart.
That this is your birthday month?
So,
Happy birthday to you.
yep.
That's a
So,
great gift for your birthday, for your
yeah.
book to be released.
Actually, it's coming out on my youngest sister's birthday too. I had
Oh,
asked her before I when I found out that that date was I was like, "How do you feel about my baby coming out on your birthday?" And she goes, "That would be so cool." I was like, "Okay, cool."
if somebody wants to join your launch team, is it too late?
Nope, it's not. They are more than welcome to.
And what does that entail? If they wanna be on your book launch team, for people that don't know what a book launch team is, what will they
Well,
be doing?
there's 2 ways they can do it. The ARC version is they sign up, they pre-order a copy, they read it, and then when it comes out on the 21st, they do a review on Amazon. Simple, easy. We've got a Facebook group. I'll be doing a couple of little lives, and we'll have a couple of drawings and little fun stuff.
Yeah. So pre-order the book, read the book, give a review, and show up for a live if you can. Now, is all of this mandatory or they can do what they're able to do?
They can do what they can and don't stress if they can't do it. It's no big deal.
Well, I think that's the greatest advantage to participating in book launches is if you're an avid reader and you enjoy reading books, you're going to read this book anyway. You might as well get an early copy of it.
Yes,
And if it's
exactly.
going to become a movie, you're going to want that book. Yes. Okay, so give us a teaser. What in the book are they I know you can't tell us everything, but what in the book is one of the most surprising pieces of interesting bits, nuggets that they're gonna get?
Well, there's multiples as far as I'm concerned. Um, one of the things is that my mom said when I asked her about it, she said I was switched at birth. I wasn't.
Yes. So Melissa came I'm in Mississippi, she's in Texas, and so she came to one of the women's conferences that we had here back earlier in the year. And one thing that she told me, if you don't mind me sharing, is we were eating pizza and it was just a sweet moment when you had told your mother that had forgiven her.
Yes,
And I really felt like that is when you felt the freedom to continue writing this book.
you're right. I had already pretty much finished it and I was tweaking parts of it and stuff. And I had done a chapter in a collaborative book with our publisher. And in the chapter, it was about my son when he was my youngest son when he was 2 and we thought he had leukemia. And I compared leukemia and unforgiveness being like a disease and how it eats away at you like cancer. I talked about forgiving my mother and I gave my mom that chapter to read. And at that point in time, she had not read the daddy files yet. So I gave her the chapter first. And when she read that, she said, she asked me, she goes, "You've really forgiven me." And I said, "Yes, I have. I have forgiven you." I said, "And God has forgiven you. Now it's time for you to forgive yourself." And that she and I both cried. And she said she had not realized until that moment that I had really forgiven her. And she said that I was right. She needed to forgive herself. So since then, she has now read the daddy files and she's reading it again since I have my author copies. I gave her one and she's reading it again. She said it's good and she likes it and that it's going to help some people.
The
Uh,
forgiveness is powerful, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so sweet. Forgiveness is like the climax of any story
I
because
agree.
it some people say, "Oh, forgiveness is easy. I just say, you're forgiven." But when it's that deep hurt, it is not easy. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yes.
But I knew I had to do it because it was eating away at me. And I
Yes.
knew that Jesus died for me. He had forgiven me because I'm not perfect. And so I knew I had to do it. But it was just
Yeah.
the hard, just it's just hard.
One of the things I said in my book is that some days I had to forgive her multiple times in one day. I mean, it wasn't an easy thing. And
It's a process.
it's a process and it finally stuck. And I don't have to forgive her anymore because it finally it took. But yeah,
Obedience brings the blessing. When we live our life walking in obedience, there is so much blessing waiting for us on the other side. And forgiveness for me is one of those things. You just don't know what's on the other side as you keep walking through that wilderness sometimes, but it's there. It's there for the taking. And so writing a book is not for everybody, but I do feel like if God's calling you to write, just know that the process is not gonna be easy, but the blessing is on the other side.
exactly. I agree.
And you have no idea how God's gonna work through those words as you're writing them and take you through the healing process even more. Because I really don't think we're gonna be fully healed until we get to heaven. Well, I am so delighted that you came to visit with me today and with our audience. Is there anything else that you wanna tell our audience? Any encouragement for the writing journey or for the healing journey?
God's always there. Jesus is always there. We're the ones who leave him and walk away. So he's just waiting for us to reach out. No matter what we've done, how bad it might seem, he's there. So don't let go of him.
Yeah, that's great advice. Will you make me a sticker to put on my computer that says that? Don't let go. Hold on with all your might. Well, Melissa, I wish you the best over your book. I want to thank you again for being here. I want to thank our audience for listening to the end. And y'all go out and look at Melissa's website. Is it melissajeanrod.com?
Yes, it is.
Melissa Jean, Jeanrod. One D or two Ds?
One day.
melissajeanrod.com. And I'm going to have all this in the show notes. Y'all find her. Y'all go to Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Walmart, get her book called The Daddy Files. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. You're a joy.
Thank you, Melissa. You too.